Hey guys, I just mashed the button on my computer. Excuse me if you hear me grunting every once in a while. I pulled a muscle in my back, and I don't know if I did it from bowling or what. I don't know. Anyway, I want to talk about a couple of movies today. You know, you always pick up a lot from movies and like things that you don't see before. And there's two movies, some of my favorite movies. What that has to do with, I'd like to cover those movies individually, and then maybe we'll draw cards after that. See what the cards say about what maybe somebody needs to hear after we talk about these movies. Two of my favorite movies, you know, it's hard to say which ones you like better because they're all so good, right? Good Will Hunting, such a good movie, and I've seen it a couple times. I just watched it recently. It's a great movie because it talks about the difficulty of somebody with a genius mind who is settling for less because he's so defensive internally. Most of that movie is about Will and his relationship with his therapist, right, which is played by Robin Williams. So, and that those conversations in that movie and how those lead forward really describe, the process of somebody who's not willing to talk about themselves. Because when we aren't able to talk about ourselves to each other and how we view ourselves, in the beginning of the movie, he's all about externalizing everything, but he's unconsciously trying to prove himself. So he's solving equations that nobody else can solve. The guy's a genius. But, right, it's such a great movie on how they describe the psychology around that, which is so accurate, right? I mean, I can relate. I am very good at a lot of different things, but, you try and move the conversation away from yourself, especially when people try to, uplift you or give you compliments. A lot of times you'll be like, just whatever. Yeah, fine. Right. But, the most powerful moment in that movie is like at the end when he finally tells Will that it's not his fault because the reason he was so defensive is because he was beat, very poorly by his foster parents, raised up in a foster system where, and this is not uncommon, where foster parents are intentionally foster parents because they want to take advantage of lost kids. So a lot of times trauma attracts trauma. And then if you get in those traumatic situations and you've got very destructive households, very difficult to overcome that kind of thing and realize that the trauma that you're experiencing is attracting the type of relationships that you're experiencing because you're feeding on that negative state, not even realizing it, right? It's not your fault, right? Whatever happened to you isn't your fault. It's all generational trauma that's been handed down over and over and over. And sometimes, even from lifetime to lifetime, I've raised quite a few different kids, and you'll see different things show up in each of us, including myself, versus other people in the family that all of us have to deal with to understand where we're at and why we act the way we do. Right? And at the end of the movie, he finally lets that go and has a pretty good conversation. And the other really most powerful conversation is he has with his best friend, Ben Affleck, right? Matt Damon plays Will, and he has this conversation because he wants to just say, screw it. He wants to just be a construction worker for the rest of his life. And when he has this conversation with Ben, he's like, hey, look, I appreciate you want to hang out with me, but if you're coming back to this construction site 20 years from now, I'm going to kill you. Right? He's like, you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket. You can literally do something that maybe less than a handful of people in the world can do. And you're going to, that's an insult to me because I would give everything in the world to have what you have. Right? And, when I watch that, it's like I think all of us have to realize that all of us have something that is unique to us, that is something that most people can't do, right? Um, there's so many powerful intuitives out there that just love doing that work. Uh, for me personally, I love, and this is for me, I love looking at the overall group picture of everything that's going on around us, and how is it that I can um, make us move closer together instead of driving us farther apart. I mean, it's really simple, right? I mean, it's just one of two directions. And I guess that kind of leads into the second movie, Groundhog Day, right? Groundhog Day, I don't know how many times I've watched Groundhog Day, because that movie is such a powerful description of what it's like to be a total ass and not give a shit and be forced to deal with what that does to the people around you and what that does to yourself over and over and over when you're not able to move to the next day, and you can't get out of whatever environment you're in because you're approaching it the wrong way. Now, at the beginning of the movie, right? I mean, he's just a total dick at the beginning of the movie. He doesn't, and then when the day starts repeating, at first, I mean, he is angry. And so he lashes out. And he realizes, at first he takes advantage. He's like, wow, I can't die. Once he realizes after he dies once, he can't die. But at the same time, he starts trying to control the situation to make himself happy. Try to control everybody else to make himself happy. Very deep issue there, right? This is something that really comes down to the deepest issues around our society as a whole. When this is true about sales, when we try to control the emotional states of somebody else to try and make ourselves happy, we are unconsciously making ourselves more unhappy and a lot of times driving other people away. So, what you want to do is what that movie actually teaches. And that movie's so powerful because in a lot of ways it's 100% accurate, right? We're all coming back here lifetime after lifetime after lifetime trying to learn lessons. In this movie, it's showing it day after day after day, where he keeps waking up on the same day and he has a choice every day as to how not only is he going to impact the people around him, but making sure that he's doing the right things for himself to make himself happy. And by doing that, he's actually making everybody else happy at the same time because he's doing the things that he needs to do for himself to make himself happy. And he doesn't even, it's not consciously talked about in the movie, but there's a big turning point in that movie, right? Because he's trying to get Andy McDowell in the sack. He's in love with Andy McDowell, and he has so much respect for her because she's so kind, she's so generous to the people around her. And, once he realizes that he is a god, right? And he can't die, and all he does is just keep coming back over and over and over and over. Sound familiar? He lets her know, finally spends a full day with her, but then after he wakes up the next day and it's the same day over again, he lets go. It's like that, at that point in the movie, bam, he lets go of trying to control. And then he just starts trying to do the things for himself to make himself happy, and then trying to ground out conflicts in his environment. If somebody's, by the end of the movie, at the end of the movie, you see the last day that he's on is all he did is work on himself, learn how to play the piano. There's a lot of discussions. I've had so many discussions with other people. How many years do you think that he spent day after day after day, right? I mean, in order to play the piano as well as he did, somebody called him Dr. Connors because he helped somebody with their back. It was an older couple. It's the only time you actually ever see it in the movie. It's in the last 20 minutes of the movie where they're at the party at the end of the day. How long does it take for him to know all the details of everybody in a town like that? Had to have been years and years worth of days, right? I mean, think about how many lifetimes we live to try and learn about ourselves in order to finally figure out that we just need to stop controlling all of it and just accept it for the way it is and just help people when they need help. That's all he did at the end of the day. And you'll notice right when he made that change, that first day when she spent that night with him and he woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, he popped out of bed and he just started doing things for himself. And then it shows him sitting in a diner just reading a book, finally in a state of peace, realizing that he can't, all of his efforts to try and actively control and try and get himself to move to the next day weren't doing any good for himself. They weren't helping him at all. And as soon as he started doing the right things for himself, he started positively impacting everybody else, instead of trying to control everybody else. And such a powerful movie, right? What is it that makes you happy? That's the most difficult part. And I can tell you from personal first-hand experience, when you walk that path, it's just trying to make yourself happy and do the things that you want to do for yourself, to help yourself and help ground out what people are going through, but you don't want to get pulled into that, right? In a long-term thing. And letting go of the outcome. One really powerful part of that movie is when he's trying to save an old man who's dying, and the man dies that day every single day, and there's nothing he can do about it, no matter how much soup he gives him or how much he tries to help him or how much he learns. It's just his time, right? We can't control the outcome and the journeys of each other. All we can do is be there for each other at a certain way at a certain time, and as long as we're making ourselves happy in the right way, we can make a positive impact on the people around us. And for me, I know there's a lot of people, and I've just had a recent conversation with somebody where I was talking about NDEs, people that have NDEs, and we realize that all of this stuff out here, the physical reality, the material reality, really doesn't mean anything. It's just our time spent with one another and our ability to stay present with one another. And we're not present with one another if we're trying to manipulate each other, right? To get something, to try and control what it is that we might want from somebody, or it just doesn't work that way. All we can do is be the best for ourselves, so that we're showing up for the best of each other whenever we do get to spend time with each other. And optimally, we get to spend with each other more time with one another when we want to create together. Because when you've learned how to create that sense of being within yourself, and you've mastered your own abilities and have confidence in your own ability to stay present and be happy, then you'll just people will naturally want to be around you, right? I mean, it can be very difficult, and especially when you get that way, you'll have sometimes you'll have people who haven't, a lot of people that haven't gone there, who are trying to, and I'm not talking about anybody in my own life other than I get contacted every once in a while by people that I don't know, right? That, and this is not you guys watching this YouTube channel or even the person that I talked to recently. I'm talking about hey, we got a job opportunity for you. And you find out the job opportunity, all it is really people trying to take your money into some kind of BS investment opportunity. That, when you're producing a healing energy, there's things that are unhealed that are trying to just pull from their environment constantly that will try and prey on you, right? Sometimes it manifests in people. Sometimes it manifests in just that stuff, right? I can tell you, somehow my number got on the dark web, and I probably have, I don't know, I probably get something like, 10 maybe 10 or 12 just random people that I've never met before. I don't know. It could be AI. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if the same stuff happens to you guys, because it's pretty, you know. Anyway, and it's hard to master yourself because, you know, when you run into situations where even if your intuition's like, and this has happened to me, where I felt like my intuition was telling me just to walk away, don't get involved. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is a good investment opportunity where I can make some money and I don't need to worry about it. So the problem with that is, as soon as I agree to do that thing, I'm kind of putting my energy into something that's going to allow me to, where I don't have to grow closer to somebody else, right? If I have a lot of money, I can, in this reality, we've been able to control the lives of other people with money. Now that's, the ability to do that is lessening more and more as we all master ourselves and we learn about what makes us happy. Because when you figure out what makes you happy, money don't mean anything, right? And it took me a long time to understand that. Long time. So, and you have to be patient with yourself. I mean, I've had to be patient with myself because I've gotten pulled into things where my intuition was leading me in another direction, and I got so angry, mostly with myself, and I knew that I was projecting that, angry with myself and pissed off at myself for getting duped into something where maybe I lost money or it was just pointless for me to even deal with that. And so you have to just take the time to heal and take the time for yourself to do what you need to do for yourself and get over it and just keep moving on, right? I hope somebody needs to hear this, maybe. For many of you guys who need to hear this, I felt like I needed to make this video. Those two movies are really powerful. And they have really two aspects of that where be patient with yourself. Don't get hard on yourself because you get pulled into some fear mechanism that is a mechanism to drive us farther apart versus growing closer together. So that in the end we can be creating together and be happy for one another, right? Because the last thing you want to do is figure everything out for yourself and then be around a lot of people that haven't, who are just trying to live off of your happiness, right? We don't want that either. It's not easy, right? So let's see what the cards have to say about that. Those dropped out right away. Let's just read these ones, shall we? Our ecstasy and our love for life is being protected while we hone our skills. You guys are using some wisdom that you've gained. And at the same time, you're witnessing the struggle, and from the outside there's some jealousy that's going on because people maybe are jealous of, you know, the things that you're learning, or maybe the freedom that you acquire by learning what makes you happy, right? Because that's when you really become free. Yeah. Love you guys. Have a beautiful day. And I'll catch you on the next one.